Good morning. I want to talk about some event that happened yesterday that's related to the presidential debate between Trump and Biden, and following some event that may be meaningful for me to look at myself as if in the mirror. Uh, Prior to this discussion, I like to say just a few words that the life is a process of problem solving. And one way to explain how to do it is to control the process control. You identify potential causes problem and work out the solution for each of them as they pop up, going through the process of plan to check act in the long term or short term. Also the Shiva Samadhi Panya. If you have a calm and quiet mind, distill, and then the wisdom may pop up. It's not guaranteed, but the idea of the samadhi is to have a stable base, so to speak, of us connecting to the heart. So if we have that process fairly well established, we can do better. But every now and then, various events pop up. So I have this one, and I mentioned in the other video, a black dot exercise. Every day I have event, uh, what to monitor and what event takes place, happened, problems. I may have a black dot when I found some disturbance in my psychology. So in here, there's some red area, and if I just look at quickly, those are not too much psychological. One, two, three areas are related to my toothache, which I'm handling all right, and then dry eye. But the black dot I have on the column, this is for the whole month of June, I have two of them. One is way back in early in the month, and the next one, I should put this one a little bit bigger black dot because that's the point that I thought I would share this video. That's the black dot about the presidential debate, and I wasn't so happy about watching to think about how the world is functioning and the implication to everyone's mental health, physical health, spiritual health. So I mentioned that I monitor those black dots indicating how things are. So two black dots in 1 month mostly is not bad at all. But the second one, as I mentioned, was like a body blow. Last night, this says I woke up once for pee and slept well in terms of the timing, but this black dot was related to the dream. And I was struggling in the dream, and I practiced what I know, the breathing and all that, even in a dream or in the process of having a dream because I was half awake. So bottom line is that I was a bit tired. I walked around and realized that I should put some words to settle, to share, if there's anyone watching. A case of me going through some struggle. So process control identified the area. Now I know some funny dream and the mental struggle happened early in the morning. Lasted maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, not too long. But it's apparent. And I traced back and figured out why I have that. And I thought that must be the presidential debate. I'm not going to go into detail, but that triggered me to be disturbed, delusionally thought, what can you do? How can I address it? And mind, I believe, while I'm sleeping or struggling. So it comes out some kind of a dream, like a self-organizing process to square out so that I can be healthy. That's what the wound would do, physically or mentally. So noticing that I was breathing, focusing on breathing and so forth. But it took more time, so it's worse to put the black dot. So that's the background up to this moment. Okay, so what's the message? One of the thoughts that popped up related to that is when I was in high school, I read the book called The Confession by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a French philosopher from 18th century or something. I just checked. I don't remember what was the content at the time. I may have just read one evening and then returned the book at the school. But I realized that what I do on my video is about confession. Confession of how I'm doing, well, what's happening, how I see the world. So keep monitoring. So it's an ongoing black dot exercise, so to speak, if I call it my videos, because I usually have multiple videos. Because during the day, I notice certain things, something wonderful, interesting, happy, or related to nature, and then the event that happens, and I monitor how I live. I use the word waku waku. When I have this sense of liveliness called waku waku, sound of boiling water coming out of the spring, cold spring, whatever that may be, is indication. Right now, my waku waku level is low. So if I use the word of the process control, that's one of the measure called the head of the fish. What's the result? And if I want to have a healthy, happy, full of waku waku in my life, this should monitor a certain appropriate level. But today, as I talk, I hear my voice changes because when I think about waku waku, I have lots of good memories. But today, my waku waku level is low. I must have started my video talking in a low voice and perhaps not as animated. But now I'm waking up perhaps. But the point is to realize what's going on, observe as it is, not so much on the content itself, because if you get too much caught up in the content, it starts to go on, right? How can I explain that? Anything else? If you think about something with words, there's memory, and you play with the word in your mind, it starts to propagate, go into some direction, because there are other neuron connection to connect to that, like the case of depression and the confession, the story of Rousseau. Those are the natural event happens in our mind. It's natural, but it's artificial because it's in the mind. It's not the reality. So that's the dimension. There's a dimension of the mind and what's happening, dream, black dot, talk, logic, what to say next. That's what the mind does. But what's in the heart, as I mentioned, is always calm and quiet, peaceful, no mind, no self. You may not understand, but that's what it is. Samadhi, living in the now, going with the flow, knowing what is going on as it is, not what you think it is. So there's a relative play of the words and the concept in the brain, but there's a eternal quietness, if you want to call that, or the heart at the center, the grounded level, which detect the liveliness level, waku-waku level, because that's the reality of my existence at the time. The existence at the time in the brain is just a play, and you can use some analytic thing to figure out why it happens, what, and therefore it may trigger me to, I'm into the delusionary thought. So stop that. Breathe in, breathe out, inner body sensation. Be quiet. Then you can see things better. Or the delusion is like a puff of cloud, dissolve on its own, because I'm not dealing with it. I'm focusing on my being this moment. So now I'm awake more, maybe compared to 3 minutes ago. Then you can make a better judgment. Maybe I can talk more coherently. I'm just testing if that's what I'm in such a state. So, what's the point of this? It just exemplify, explain the process control. Event happens, you think this and that at the time, or even during the night, I carry that uncomfortable sense, not clear. I slept well, but early in the morning when that uncomfortableness start to come out, not the waku-waku, it's the other, like a black smoke or something. It's a black dot probably. That's the image I have that I put on my daily review. You can check black dot exercise to find what I shared in the video. I do this for years, okay? Because I'm curious to monitor what I do and how many black dots and how I'm doing. So I'm still a bit depressed because what happened and I felt at the time, thinking about the future. Again, I'm thinking. So I have to go back to, okay, let's go back to the ground level. And settle myself. So I may be processing this problem by getting into the samadhi level to be able to see what is really going on, not in the image and whatever that is created in the mind and is creating in the mind, but to say as if to say, stop, observe, breathe in, breathe out. Everything is quiet. So I'm into the dimension of heart. As I shared elsewhere, human construct is with 2 dimensions. That's what I say, the brain part of it and the heart. We want to use the brain, not to be used, not get into delusion. Use it wisely. So detect what's going on overall, have a ground-based heart, observe, and with that may come wisdom, compassion, right path. That's the process control. And I'm just trying to share that as if me looking at myself in the mirror, but trying to share. Lots of event happens. Some are great and happy, some are sad, feel like crying, or desperate. But there's a silent space within us. I don't know when Rousseau wrote that book because I don't remember much about it, but I liked the title, Confession. He wrote the book, and I think there are 3 books or something, but I didn't want to write a book. I want to do it ongoing, real-time feedback. That's what I do in my video. It's the kind of like a desperate effort to see if I'm living in the manner that makes sense. Some people may think it's crazy and this is stupid. It's important for me. So I do it. It's my accountability to live my life, why I exist. And I have ownership. I share it to myself and to the whole universe. That there's this guy trying to work out the best to live, going through some difficulties. So this is the case that happened, is happening because I may still want to resolve it because it's something need to be done. And with the sincere and truthful attitude, and with all the things I've been working on and posting, black dot exercise of breathing, the anapana, meditation, process control, and other stuff, I like keep on moving. Not writing a book, but ongoing book on the YouTube. Have a good day, and may all beings be happy. Let's do our best.